get this now, 75% of the votes in the Democrat primary will come from New York City, the 5 boroughs. 75% of the votes in the Republican primary will not come from Manhattan or the 5 boroughs. They'll come from, what do you call it, outstate, upstate, places like Binghamton. Always love pronouncing it that way. But that just tells you who lives where. The Democrat primary, 75% of all votes cast will come from New York City. All the boroughs except Staten Island, which is reliably ours, but still a lot of Democrats there. But it's fascinating that the vast majority of votes in the Republican primary, there'll be some from New York City, of course, but most of them from outstate. Fascinating little stat that I had not looked at it that way before. It was upstate, outstate. Well, I just mean outside the city is what I mean. And I think everybody knows what I mean. Why are you nitpicking here? You know, look at, what do you think I'm doing? My version of New York values here? I'm not even approaching. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just trying to categorize geographically various aspects of the state. Outstate, you know, out city. How about that? Out city. Outstate, upstate, whatever. Everybody knows what I mean here. Anyway, folks, 2 or 3 things here before we get into the meat and potatoes of things today. First thing I want to tell you about is Ed Morrissey has a book out. He asked me to blurb it, and I read the book, and I wrote back, Ed, this book's going to kick ass. And that's my blurb. That's the blurb on the cover of his book. Ed Morrissey is a blogger that he started his own blog, Captain's Quarters, and ended up merging with hotair.com. And it's a great blog site. It actually is. It's really diverse. But Ed is one of the intellectual leaders over there with a couple of others, and he's written a book called Going Red, and it's about how conservatives can win, and there are a lot of those books. But his take on this is fascinating, and I just wanted to mention it to you. The book is out recently. Going Red, it's not about communism. It's about red states versus blue states. But his point is that 2 million voters are going to determine who wins the presidency. 2 million voters in 7 counties across the country. I'm not going to tell you which counties. One of the counties is in Ohio, one's in Florida, one's in Colorado. But that's as far as I'm going to go. They are 7 battleground counties in swing states that the Republicans have to win if the Republicans, and more importantly conservatives, are going to win this presidential election. Every one of these 7 counties voted for Obama in one or both of the last 2 elections. But all of these 7 counties are now battleground, meaning up for grabs because of how bad the Obama administration has been. And the door is open in these important 7 counties for Republicans to win them. And if they do, it is Ed Morrissey's theory here that they will thus win the presidency. And it's important to deal a blow. I mean, if these 7 counties again went for Obama in either in 2008 or 2012, and if they go Republican, it'd be a massive slap in the face to the left. And the book is more than that. It tells you what went wrong in 2008 and 2012 and what needs to change. Virginia is one of the states where one of the counties is, obviously. But it's a fascinating read. As I say, the book is kick-ass. That ended up being my blurb. And I just wanted to mention to you, I was, Ed was named Blogger of the Year at CPAC 2 or 3 years ago, and they asked me, of course, to do the official introduction via videotape, and I did. Ed said it was one of the most impressive and meaningful days in his life, which I was very appreciative of, and I understood as well. And I think that his book is something that a lot of you, at least not just for wonks, but I mean, this is pretty specific. And by the way, don't get depressed. This is not meant to depress you that the election depends on 7 counties. It's just, it's his take on it. sort of like the theory on the Electoral College. The Democrats start out with 200 votes in the Electoral College just because whoever their candidate is has a D next to their name, which means they automatically win New York, automatically win California. That's big. If they ever get Texas, it's over. And if they hold on to New York and California. Then you throw Trump into this mix, and presuming that if he is a nominee, what does he do? If does he upset that and put New York in play, for example? You know, the polling data on the New York primary today, if we are to believe it, Trump is going to win in a bigger landslide than any of the polling data had suggested up till now. And that, if something like that happens, and you're talking about another momentum shift, which I think the New York media is already beginning to establish as their narrative, that the momentum, even though Cruz is just killing it with all these delegate battles, the New York media, which is Trump-centric, is trying to shift the narrative now. And like I say, we've been in a lull. We've had some days go by here where there hasn't been anything to talk about, no hard results. All we've had is theory, predictions, analysis, but now we're going to get some more hard results that are also called votes. And that will shift the coverage on a dime, and that will start tonight. Two more things I want to mention. Another book, Pete Hegseth. You might have seen Pete Hegseth on Fox now and then. He's a contributor. He has a book coming out on May 3rd. That I'll have more on that as we approach the date, because it is really good, and as they say in the book world, it's important as well.